Hey everyone! So in case you missed it, in my last video I spoke about the June 22nd update that the Ucat website have announced regarding some of the things that you may need to know if you're sitting the exam this year. So because of lockdown and some of the situations that have been happening recently, a lot of new alterations have been made to allow you to sit the exam as normally as possible. And what Ucat have said, if you've missed it, is that you are able to take the test at a centre, if that's an option for you, or if you meet a number of criteria, you are able to also sit the exam from home. Now, in the video that I just made, I've spoken a lot about some of the requirements and some of the adjustments that you may need to make if you do want to sit the exam at home. So I will link that video below, and I would encourage you to either watch the video or go on the Ucat website, which I'll also put below, and make sure you catch yourself up on the update, and that should hopefully help you decide which way you want to take the exam. And also, I should mention this because I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this on both of my videos, that as well as having the normal candidate guide that Ucat has for students taking the exam, they've also come up with an online candidate guide, so any information you have about the requirements and stuff that I mentioned, then all the information will be on there. But today I want to talk to you about how you can prepare for these new adjustments, and specifically talk to you about the SCRATCHPAD feature that Ucat have brought about in order to help students use a virtual whiteboard, if you like, through their exam. Now, if you guys are already familiar with the format of taking the exam at a centre, you would know that they don't allow you to take any sort of pens, paper, pencils, any of that sort. What they give you to help you answer the questions throughout the exam is a whiteboard that's like yay big, I think, I can't remember, but they give you a whiteboard and a whiteboard pen that you can use throughout the exam, but afterwards you have to wipe it completely and return it to the staff members. And the reason why they do this is they obviously are trying to protect the question banks that they have, and they are trying to prevent any sort of cheating, I guess, or the information being spread around by the public. Now, in the recent updates that I mentioned, they have come out and said that you are allowed to use a whiteboard at home. I think initially when they made taking the exam at home an option, they said that students will not be able to use a whiteboard, obviously again because they're trying to protect any sort of cheating or anything like that happening. But recently they said that you are able to use a whiteboard at home, but additionally they have created the SCRATCHPAD feature that students are able to use throughout the exam. But just to give you a little bit more information on that, and I've got my laptop here so I can see if I can get this right. Basically, they've said that even though you are allowed to use a whiteboard if you take it from home, there are still a certain number of rules that apply that you have to make sure you follow if you do want to do this. So, for example, on the page right now, I've got some of the requirements that they've said. So they've mentioned that if you do decide to use a whiteboard, it has to be a certain size, so no bigger than 12 by 20 inches. You can have up to 2 dry erase markers and also 1 eraser. And as I mentioned, these are a number of things that you are not allowed to use. So, for example, whiteboards with grids, paper, pens, pencils, permanent markers, tissues, paper towels, napkins. So they're being very specific because, you know, they really don't want any notes to be taken during these exams, and understandably. And in fact, something else that they've mentioned both on the website and in the guides is that your room will be inspected, I think, because if you do decide to take the exam at home, you will have a webcam and I think a microphone and somebody kind of observing you, sort of like an exam modulator. And they have mentioned things like you have to have a clear desk, you're not allowed to have anything that you could possibly be able to write on. You're not allowed to have any sort of sticky notes, paper, pens, books like within arm's reach. And additionally, if you have like 2 or more monitors, if you have like a big desktop computer, they all need to be unplugged and turned off. And you're not allowed to have anything on the wall, so no notes or sticky posts or whatever. And they have been very specific in saying that if your workspace does not pass a room scan, you will not be permitted to proceed with taking the test. So this is super important. So make sure if you do decide to use a whiteboard instead of the SCRATCHPAD feature, that you really check for these things. But let's go ahead and talk about the SCRATCHPAD feature a little bit more, because that's what the focus of today's video is on. So what I'm going to do, in case this is completely new to you, is go on one of the mock exams that Ucat have on their website and show you the SCRATCHPAD feature and just the basics of how you can use it. It's super easy, it won't take up too much time, and it should be a really good tool. But I firstly want to share that this video is being sponsored by Medify, who I'm working with today, because in order to help students practice and sort of get used to using the SCRATCHPAD, because I know if you're very used to using a whiteboard and writing things down like in front of you, then it can take a little bit of adjustment. So Medify have recently brought out this SCRATCHPAD feature on their website as well, so I want to show you a little bit of that too. Now, I have worked with Medify in the past, and I am definitely behind all of the tools and features that they have to offer for students, and I'll link those videos below. I'm not going to get into too much of that today, so let me just show you what the SCRATCHPAD feature is like. And should you choose to want more practice, then Medify is a really good option for you guys to go and do that. Alright, so let's firstly have a look at the SCRATCHPAD on the Ucat mock tests. So as you can see, you can open this feature by clicking on the icon, which is at the top left-hand corner, right next to the calculator. And if you want a shortcut, you just have to press Alt-D, and that will open it up for you. Now, when this opens up, you can just type notes on there as you would, type in a Word document or anything like that. And you can choose to close it either by pressing the little X or by pressing the next question. And the best thing is that if you do close this, then your notes will be saved. Now, let's go and have a look at the Medify version, because as I said, this will give you an opportunity to really practice and really get proficient with, the shortcuts and making notes and pressing on the next questions, so you can really get a handle on it. And actually, although I know it might feel more familiar to you guys to write your notes on a whiteboard or, write by hand, typing is actually faster. So it might benefit you in terms of time if you do get proficient with using the SCRATCHPAD, because I think the majority of people can type faster than they can write. So with all of that said, let's just open up the Medify feature, shall we? Okay, so as you can see, this is pretty much identical to the one that you just saw on the official Ucat mock tests, which is good. Nothing to confuse you here. So basically, you can just open it up, similar to the mocks, by clicking on the icon that's next to the calculator. There, you can just type your notes as you would expect. Oh, and also, I forgot to mention this earlier, you can copy and paste, but you can only copy and paste your own notes. So, unfortunately, you can't just copy and paste from the questions. So sorry to disappoint you if you had that idea. And again, as I said, if you want to close it, all you have to do is press close or just press next question, and then that will close the box and save your notes so you can move on to the next question. And there you have it. If this is something that you guys are considering because you want to take the exam from home, or it's just something that you prefer to use instead of an actual whiteboard, even if you do decide to take the test at a centre, then I would highly encourage you guys to go and have a little play around with it and get used to it, really. Now, I will link Medify below if you would like to go and get access to all of the resources that those guys have to offer, because the mock tests, I think there are only 3 official mock tests, so if you want a bit more practice, then Medify is a really good place to go. And everything I've mentioned from this video, from all of the guides to the Ucat update website and all of that jazz, I will put in the description as well, so go and check those out if you want more information. I wish you guys the best of luck, and I will see you in the next one.